Hey there, fellow vegetable nerds. Thanks for hanging out with me again in my kitchen. I am Kelly, you knew that. I have another unboxing from Weee, and I am so excited because there's really cool stuff in there. So let's start meat and veg.
Hey, turn up the caramello and chisel on the shizney. It's time for me to what? Let me introduce myself. I'm Gina Burrito. My pants are made of leather. I find it hard to concentrate.
So I know it's gonna be a little weird because I'm down here and normally I'm up there. Ordinarily I would be standing up to do this, but I'm having some issues with sciatica right now. So seated is a little better for me. Luckily I got that rolly stool. I'm telling you, like, somebody should put me in charge of selling rolly stools because I would make a killing. This is the best thing I've ever done. A rolly stool in the kitchen has been so helpful, and every single day, every time I sit my butt down on it, I'm like, damn, I'm glad I bought a rolly stool. I have been so excited for this order to come. Okay, I've been very specifically excited about this. Generally, I'll start adding stuff to my cart as I go, and then when I have enough stuff that I'm excited about, I order it all at once. Weee does this great thing where almost every day they're emailing me or sending me a text and letting me know that they have some kind of a flash sale. They have flash sales constantly, and the savings can be like really good. There was one flash sale where there was stuff that was like 90% off, up to 90% off. So they happened to send me information about a very specific flash sale. I had just been talking to a friend of mine, Meg Kirkpatrick. The only reason I give her full name is because she's a rad artist and you should go and look her up. I will put a link to her in the description. So Meg was saying that she really enjoys the show. Thank you, Meg. And she was like, you know, I would really love it if you did an episode with a bunch of mushrooms. I would like to hear more about mushrooms. The next day, Weee was like, we're having a flash sale on mushrooms. And I was like, oh, well, that's great. So I have a ton of mushrooms to show you. You ask for it, you got it. And there's a few that are like really especially exciting in here. So let's start getting into this. I have not even opened this yet. Usually I've at least opened things up and taken a peek before I do an episode, but like this is a mystery we get to explore together. The last time I ordered from them, I got a bunch of snacks. Okay, I just wanted to try out a whole bunch of snacks, and I tried to find some stuff that was kind of like low carb, because I'm always really bummed that Weee has all these really amazing looking snacks that I can't have because it's, you know, sugar or carbs and things like that. And I found a couple things that I loved. It doesn't sound like something that would be delicious. Where is it in English? Oh boy. Ah, it might not even be anywhere in English on here. Oh dang. But it's like spicy tofu skin. I know that sounds gross. I know it does. But you get like 3 bags for like $1 something. They are, when I say they're addictive, like I'm not even kidding. They're kind of like translucent. And they're somewhere between crispy and chewy. Yeah, so they were such a good deal that I was like, oh, it's like $1 or something. I'll just like get 10. But I forgot there's 3 to each order. So I got 30. And I ain't sad. These things, when I like, I just, they grew on me at such a pace. Well, I couldn't stop. You know, I started with 1 order and I had 3 bags and I was like, oh, that'll last me a while. It did not last me a while. And I just started craving them. They're a little oily, I will say that. So you're gonna get some stuff on your fingers. But it's got kind of like a nice spicy Szechuan kind of flavor. No. God damn it, Stella. Okay. Alright. So this is gonna be interesting reaching into the box like that, but I'm gonna do my best. Okay, I'm just gonna reach in at random because I can't see what's in here, and it's more fun like this. The downside of the rolly stool is that for some reason, when I'm in a seated position, that seems to be a cue to Stella that I am available. And she'll just come along. Like, she can just feel like a disturbance in the force. Every time I take a seat, she's just like, she's somewhere sitting. I gotta go beyond that. Well, here she is. Let's just see what I can do with one hand. Okay, because this is just gonna be a fact of life. Yeah! Okay, very rude. We don't need to do this. Do we need to do this? I would rather we didn't do that. Good girl, thank you. Chanterelle mushrooms. I know that I have showed these off before. I know that I have gotten these before, but like, you don't say no to chanterelle mushrooms when you see them available. Chanterelle mushrooms are so flavorful and they're so prized, and they just grow everywhere here in the Pacific Northwest, which is very lucky for me. Oh, they just make everything so wonderful. I got so excited when I saw that these were available. I was just like, click, we're ordering right now, because if I had not jumped on it fast enough and these had sold out, I would have cried forever. So these are very similar. They are a cousin of chanterelles. They're specifically a cousin of yellowfoot chanterelles, which are, you may remember in the box that I unpacked from Ketchikan, my friends Morgan and Angie sent me some dried yellowfoot chanterelles. These are a cousin of those, but one big difference, see if I can, you see how it's kind of toothed underneath the cap? That's why they call these hedgehog mushrooms. And these are one of my favorite mushrooms. And I used to buy these all the time because they grow in the Pacific Northwest, and I would get these from the farmer's market. But they're only available during certain times of the year. And they have such a particular flavor. And I have been racking my brains trying to put into words what these taste like. Obviously, they taste mushroomy. You're gonna keep hearing the same words to describe mushrooms over and over again. People are gonna say umami, people are gonna say meaty, people are gonna say maybe nutty, and it's all true. But that's like describing people as having 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth. I mean, that's true of all of them, but there's variations there, and they somehow manage to look different from each other. These just have a very particular flavor. And I'll tell you what, I have spent some time on the internet because I really wanted to do a good job describing this. And I was reading what other people said that this tasted like, and they're all wrong. I mean, I don't know. I mean, things taste different to different people, but none of it reminded me of what I think it tastes like. So all I can say is go get some. If you find these anywhere, if you ever have the opportunity to have these, fuck, they're good. Like, they're just special. And this is a whole pound of them. I might have gotten a little excited about this mushroom sale and about the opportunity to, you know, to give somebody what they asked for so quickly. Because generally somebody will ask me to do an episode and I'm like, yes, I will do that. And I put it on my little list, and it could be forever, but I have the intention to do it someday. This just kind of threw itself in my lap, and it was like, hey, you can make good on this one right now. Also, there's no option to get like a 1/4 pound. Like, you get what they give you. So, you know, these are the quantities that it's sold in through Weee. So if you want hedgehogs, you get a whole pound of them. I am not sad to have a whole pound. However, the sum total of all these mushrooms, that's a lot. I may end up sharing some of these with friends. However, I was just reading, I was looking up things to do with all these different mushrooms, because again, there's some things you're gonna see over and over and over again. It's like, you can saute them, you can roast them, you can do a stir fry. Like, yeah, that's true of like all of them. It's just not even worth saying. But apparently you can pickle these? And there's also, I found a recipe for, I think it was like a hedgehog preserve. So that's a thing I might try, because, you know, I could easily eat an entire pound of hedgehog mushrooms, but I can't eat this many pounds of mushrooms before they all go bad. So I have to be looking at what to do with some of these other than eat them fresh. And that's a cool idea. They can all be dried. I don't know if I really have the ability to dry them properly. Oh, I have a dehydrator. Let me think about that. Honestly, the thing I like to do with it is just saute it in butter. I mean, it just doesn't need anything else. A little salt. That's it, butter and salt. Oh, I used to do this thing where I would make a bunch of greens in the morning, because like the meal means nothing to me. I don't eat differently at breakfast than I do at other meals. I never really understood the point of that. So I would make like a big mess of greens and stuff, just whatever I had on hand, and then I would make just like a little, I would saute some hedgehog mushrooms in butter and just put them in a little bowl and have them on the side of the plate, and they're so rich and they're so flavorful and just, oh, I haven't had them in so long. I don't know if you can tell. I don't know if I'm being subtle about how excited I am to have them again. Tomorrow for breakfast. Today for breakfast, technically. Kelly, are you telling me that you're doing this at 3 a.m. again? No, I'm not. I'm doing it at 4:30. I'm an adult and I make my own decisions. These guys here are called Woodier Mushrooms. And I have only had these a couple of times. I went to a place that does Mongolian hot pot. And that's, you know, you get like this big pot of liquid. And in our case, we got 2 different kinds of broth. And the pot is sort of divided almost like, looking at it from the top down, it looks almost like a yin-yang, you know, where it's kind of like, and one of them was a spicy broth and the other one was just like a regular broth. And then you just get all of this stuff and you sort of cook it in the broth and pull it out and you drink the broth and do the whole thing. And I did watch a video much later about how to do it properly, and we didn't quite do it right. Apparently there's some etiquette to it that, I mean, if they don't tell you, how do you know? But we still enjoyed it. And one of the things that I got to try was Woodier mushrooms. Now, these have not been very popular in the West for a long time. Western palates just weren't into it. They're not that flavorful. They're not, I mean, they're certainly not a chanterelle. They're certainly not a morel. They're not a hedgehog. You know, they're very mild, and they're a little rubbery. There was somebody who was talking about it. I read this quote on Wikipedia. Somebody in, I think, the 19th century had described it like chewing on India rubber with bones. So I can see why people wouldn't find it that sort of attractive. I loved it. I thought they were delicious. I don't know that much about cooking with them yet, but I'm gonna have the opportunity to do something with them because I have to, because they're not gonna last forever. A couple things to know about it is that they're not really edible when they're raw. They have to be cooked thoroughly, so that's very important to know. One really interesting thing that I did find, I really love how plants and vegetables and things like that tend to have multiple names, because depending on where they're grown, people will have different names for them, and there's all these colloquial sort of terms. One of the names for these, which at first was like, when I heard it, but one of them was Jew's ear, which is like, I generally don't care for that sort of thing, but apparently that was a shortening. It has nothing to do with, you know, anything derogatory, apparently, according to Wikipedia. And I didn't read that deeply into it, so maybe I'm wrong. But it was a shortening of Judas's ear, and the reason for that is that these are one of the many mushrooms that grow on trees. Not like, oh, it's a mushroom tree, but like they grow onto other trees. And very commonly they're found on elder trees. And supposedly, in common myth, Judas Iscariot hung himself on an elder tree, and because it's dark and ear-shaped, which is why they call it wood ears, they said it was Judas's ear. Okay. And then it just over time got shortened to Jew's ear. You know, I'm still just gonna call it wood ear. I don't see any reason to call it anything else. Sometimes they're just called black fungus, which is kind of what I assumed. I saw some at a store, and you know, one was labeled black fungus and they were dried. One was labeled black fungus, one was labeled wood ear. Wood ear was much more expensive. The black fungus was less expensive, and I was pretty sure they were the same thing, so I just bought the black fungus, and now I'm happy to find out I was right. This is, oh, it's organic even, that's nice. This is Maitake mushroom. It's a shame it's in plastic because it's gonna be hard for you to really see it well. Maitakes are also called hen of the woods, ram's head, sheep's head. There's a bunch of other names for it, as there are with so many things. I was reading some of the quotes about like just the experience of eating it, and it's generally considered to be pretty intensely flavored. This is extremely popular. because it has an intense flavor. I've seen people online say that this is an easier mushroom for people who are turned off of mushrooms by the texture. So it doesn't have that mushroomy kind of texture. So if that's a problem for you and you want to try mushrooms, you want to try to get that flavor and not be off-put, like maybe try this one. It's also widely considered to be a medicinal mushroom. It's one of the most commonly thought of mushrooms when you think of medicinal mushrooms, to the extent that when I went to look them up, before culinary recipes came up, medicinal came up first. I am not here to make any claims about any of that. Not a mushroom, but we all know I love these. These are so good. These are little chive flowers, and they're so tasty. And these guys stay good in the fridge for so long. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because this is, again, like, you don't get to choose to just get a couple of these. You know, if you order them, they send you what they send you, and this is like a pound of them. And I am one person, and I can't eat a pound of these in a couple of days. But these have been really great about staying in my fridge and being good long enough for me to eat them all. Because I put these in everything. They're so yummy. They've got that sort of, that yummy sort of chivey, oniony kind of flavor. This is basil, but it's not just any basil. This is Mexican basil, and when I was reading that, I was like, I don't know what Mexican basil is. I don't know what makes it different from regular basil. It turns out that was another name for cinnamon basil. I can see why they call it that. It is very, like, very strongly scented, and it has, ooh, I have already forgotten the name of the compound, but there's a compound in it that gives it that basil, excuse me, that gives it that cinnamon kind of smell. And you can do sort of what you would do with other basils with this, but also, like, I would say that this could be a substitute for like a Thai basil. It's got that kind of a flavor. But I was reading that you can also put it in baked goods and jellies and things like that. Probably because it's got that sort of cinnamony kind of scent, but it also is very basil-y. It is both things. These guys are Enoki mushrooms. And these are another one that have multiple names. So they're sometimes called velvet shank, which is like, that's a great name. That's like being stabbed, but with something elegant. Elegantly stabbed, velvet shank. In Japan, they're called Enoki take. These guys here are another one that I had at the hot pot place. And they have like a little crunch to them, you know? I didn't find them super flavorful, but they're fun. I really enjoyed them. And I found a couple of fun recipes to make with these. Hopefully I can get this all done before they go bad. I really did bite off a little bit more than I could chew. Another thing about the Enoki mushrooms is that they are sometimes cultivated and they're sometimes wild. The wild ones tend to be brown and they have a whole set of names. And the white ones tend to be the cultivated ones because they don't get to see the sunlight. And those have a whole other set of names. So it's almost like they're treated as two different mushrooms. These guys here really threw me for a loop. So one problem that I have run into with Weee, and it's not that big a deal, like for all the things that I love about them, I can live with this. Sometimes you don't get a lot of information in the listing, and sometimes things will be called by a certain name that they don't give any alternate names, so you just gotta figure out what it is. Sometimes it's not even written in English. So this was listed as yellow crab mushroom. Now I went on Google. I could not find anything about yellow crab mushrooms. So I tried doing the little quotes around yellow crab. I tried doing the quotes around crab mushroom. I could not find any of that. One of the nice things that Weee does is they, underneath the product description, they show you people's reviews, and generally people's reviews have pictures, which is great. And a lot of the reviews tell you what they did with it, which is also great. So you can get an idea of what it's used for and how it tastes and also what it looks like. And so I saw the packaging, and the packaging shows the name. First, it has the name Bunashi Meiji. I might have said that wrong. If I did, I apologize. I have no idea. But also beach mushroom. And that is exactly what I thought it was. I have had beach mushrooms before. I got them from Full Circle. They weren't cheap. These are. And they're organic. Like, I cannot believe the prices. This, I think was $1.69. That's a hella good deal. That's a lot of mushroom there. A lot of mushroom there. And these guys have that cool sort of, oh, can you see? The coloring on the caps is almost, I don't know, it's almost like an animal print kind of thing. Like they got a funky sort of pattern to them. And beach mushrooms, I believe, tend to be called beach mushrooms colloquially because they grow on beach trees. Go figure. Those guys also have to be cooked. They're gonna be bitter if you eat them when they're raw, but the bitterness goes away as you cook them, and they're pretty nice. So these guys, those are really strong smelling. So they're listed as tiger skin peppers. And I went looking that up, and apparently it's not so much a type of pepper as it is a preparation. So there is a popular dish, I believe it's a Szechuan dish, where you cook these in a very similar way to the way that you would do like padron peppers or shishito peppers, where you kind of cook them at high heat and kind of sear them a bit so that they blacken, which is why they're called tiger stripe peppers, because they get tiger striping on them. But it's a slightly more complicated recipe because there's like a sort of a vinaigrette kind of sauce that you put on it. And I am gonna totally make these. So apparently these are the types of peppers that you're supposed to use for that. And I'm told they're quite spicy. Every recipe I saw said to take the seeds out. And there's a part of me that's tempted to do that because I've never had those peppers before. I have not assessed their level of spiciness. But I also know that most things tell me to de-seed jalapenos, and I never do. But again, at the same time, I don't just eat jalapeno peppers like num 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 num. So, you know, I would cut one up or cut a couple up and it would flavor a bunch of food. So I think maybe for the first go round with that, I might de-seed them, or maybe I'll seed all of them but one, and then I can taste the one and see what I think. Or maybe the other way around. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'll just be a daredevil about it. We'll find out. It's a log, but it's not just any log. I am really surprised there's no directions with this. That is disappointing. I'm gonna have to look online. Somebody referenced directions. It's an oyster mushroom log. So this is a log that is inoculated with, is that the right word? It's 4:30 in the morning. It's covered in mushroom stuff. Maybe I should do these earlier. Maybe I shouldn't wait so long. Too late, let's keep going. Basically, you grow mushrooms, and I was looking at the pictures from people who had done it, and they just get a ton of gorgeous oyster mushrooms growing. And I have seen these go for up to like $40 for a mushroom log. With the sale, this cost me less than $6. What? Like, how? How is that possible? So even if I just get a few, I'm still gonna have made my money back. But everybody's like, no, you get a ton of them, and then you cut them, and then more grow, and you get a whole bunch of mushrooms. So I'm really excited. So this is gonna be a fun project, and I'm gonna hopefully keep checking back with you all and show you my progress growing my own mushroom babies. And hopefully I do some episodes where I'm making some of this stuff. I have a lot of episodes left yet to make. Every time I buy something, I'm like, I'm gonna make an episode out of this. And then sometimes that keeps me from making that thing because I not only have to have the energy to make food, but I also have to have the energy to set up my lights and do my episode and all of that stuff. And so sometimes either what happens is I end up just not making the thing, or I end up making the thing and then feeling bad about not making the episode. And I'm like, why did I even buy it if I wasn't gonna do an episode? I'm just not gonna worry that much about it. I'm just gonna do what I can. So you will see some of this time, and some of it I might just have to buy another time for an episode. So that's my great big mushroom haul. I am so excited. If you have any recommendations for what to do with any of these things, if you have any suggestions or any requests, you let me know, and I will do my best to accommodate that. I'm so excited to see what I make out of this stuff. Thank you so much for hanging out and watching me geek out over vegetables and mushrooms, which are not vegetables. Keep in mind, I do put out a new episode every Thursday, sometimes more than that, but at least every Thursday. Please like and subscribe, and if you hit the little bell, it will notify you every time there's a new episode. That way you don't have to go looking for it, and it's never a mystery. Yeah, if you feel like showing it to your friends, show it to your friends. Keep in mind, also, I have an Amazon wishlist. I can't believe how quickly after I put the Amazon wishlist up, people sent me stuff. That's awesome and amazing, and those episodes are coming up very soon. Hopefully I'm gonna film the first one tomorrow. I've got something real weird I'm gonna make. I got a few cookbooks in the mail, and I've been choosing some interesting recipes from them, so that's coming up. If you would like to buy something from my wish list, yeah, that'd be awesome. If you don't, no worries. You're still welcome to hang out and watch the videos. You don't owe me anything. So, thank you very much. I will see you next time. Bye.
Hey, turn up the caramello and shizzle on the shizney. It's time for me to what? Let me introduce myself. I'm Gino Burrito. My pants are made of leather. I find it hard to